You almost want to cry every time you see them, because if you think what could have been for them, you really impacted their lives a lot, and more than that, the whole population of jaguars remaining in the world. Yes, I used to be a race car driver. I raced for over 20 years. I started in Brazil. I won the British Formula 3 Championship back in 1998. I was test driver in Formula 1 with Jordan, Stewart and McLaren. And after about 20 years of racing, I retired. I wanted to do different things from my life, and wildlife has always been a passion. Jaguar is the largest cat in the Americas, is the third largest cat in the world. People say that about 70% of the jaguars left in the world occur in Brazil. But even within Brazil, there are biomes where it's already extinct. And our main base where we work is here in the Pantana, where it's still one of the jaguar's strongholds. Back in 2014, we learned of an accident that happened in a little town called Corumbá, about 200 kilometers from here, where the Paraguay River, the main river that runs through the Pantanal, had overflooded that year. So a mother jaguar brought their two cubs to the drier side of the river, and unfortunately that was inside that small town called Corumbá. And when day broke, she was in the backyard of a guy. And the decision was to dart those jaguars and take them back to the other side of the river, back into the wild. The mother jaguar ended up falling from the tree and into the river. So two little orphan jaguars were left. They were only about 2 months old and taken into a rehabilitation center. It was really emotional for me to see them in that circumstances, so young, having already lost their mother. It took us about 6 months, but eventually we managed to get the license and build an enclosure with a view of letting them be wild again. I think the main reason that reintroduction processes with jaguars had not worked in the past was that people used to get too attached to the animals. Our plan was to do a whole different process where the jaguars wouldn't even see us. If you reintroduced a deer, for instance, once you let it go, it would naturally go out and feed for itself. For jaguars, they need to learn how to hunt. The whole process went like a video game, so they had to succeed in one phase to move on to a harder phase. So first we would feed them with smaller animals, and then with female animals, and then with male. So we started with capybaras, caimans, all the way until they were able to hunt big male peccaries, which could be very dangerous and in fact could even kill a jaguar. So when they were getting close to 2 years old, we knew they were ready to be released. They were hunting everything we would put in the enclosure within 5 minutes and very effectively. There was a big possibility that we would never be able to capture them again if things didn't work out, if they couldn't hunt successfully in the wild. But at some point we had to risk it and make the decision. So we went there one afternoon, opened one of the gates. We had to wait all through the night and the next morning to go get these camera traps to check the satellite data of the colors and to even know that they had left the enclosure. It was a huge celebration. I don't know if I can describe the emotion, if it's happy or sad. Happy in one way that they were wild again, sad that we might never ever see them again. Once they left the enclosure, about a week later, one of the jaguars made its first kill. It was impressive. It was a peccary, which is probably the most dangerous animal they can hunt in the wild. And from that moment on, we knew she would succeed. The other jaguar struggled a little bit more. We saw her hunting egrets and some other birds, which is very unusual for jaguars, and we were actually quite worried about her for about a month. Finally, she hunted a caiman, and from then on, I think she learned that she was capable and that she was a wild jaguar, and that's what she had to do. So they both have had 2 litters in the wild, and just last month we found out that one of them had a grand cub. It's something that really makes me happy, and I think about it pretty much every day. I think comparing race car driving with conservation, it's quite different in a way that inside the car you're pretty much in control of what's happening. With nature, you're never in control. Working with jaguars has never been a job. It has always been more a passion. And I think this process was one of the hardest things I ever done. And then being able to do something that had never been achieved before. Every time I'm here in the Pantana, the first thing I want to do when I arrive is try to go find one of those jaguars in the wild. And when I do, you almost want to cry every time you see them, because you see them going whatever they want, hunting whatever they want, having cubs, and being free again. So if you think what could have been for them, it's actually, you really impacted their lives a lot. And more than that, we have the big potential of impacting the whole population of jaguars remaining in the world.